guys, I'm super excited about this episode because I feel that already into February 2024, some of us are feeling so deflated because their goals are already starting to look like they're miles and miles and miles away. Guys, this is something I hold close to my heart: goal achievement and transforming our dreams, our goals into realities. And perhaps we're at a position where we're feeling a little bit deflated because our goal settings haven't been as successful as we wanted them to be, or maybe we felt that in the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks of the year, we've already started to pull away from what we had planned to be an amazing year and we're feeling a little bit deflated. Don't worry about it, guys. It's still most of the year still around. We're still able to turn corners. We're still able to get traction and make lots and lots of progress. But in this episode, I really want to share something with you that has been resonating with me for so many years, and it's something that I've learned many years ago and that has really helped me gain traction in my business, helped me improve my business, and now I'm helping others do the same. This is our goal setting episode. Hey YouTubers, I'm Anita, Horry, second generation Pilates master and business coach for those Pilates teachers who want to learn more about themselves, who want to learn more about how to build their businesses, and I'm here to serve you. So I want to share something really personal with you that happened to me only yesterday, guys. So my hubby and I are looking for a new place. So we're looking for somewhere else to buy. And we've been driving around yesterday in the beautiful mountainous countryside of the Costa Blanca in Spain. And the area is full of beautiful mountain regions overlooking the ocean. So it's overlooking the Mediterranean Sea. We're chugging along on our way yesterday. We were supposed to meet the estate agent in a specific spot. And this location we're looking for is really, really remote. And we wanted to find something super special. And we're driving along. And all of a sudden, we realize that our GPS stopped working. We're in the middle of nowhere. There's just pine trees everywhere. We have no idea whether we turn left or turn right or whether follow the road. There's absolutely nothing we can do. We're not sure whether we turn back. The road is so narrow that literally the car couldn't even pass properly through it. We look at each other and we're thinking, okay, now what? Now what's going to happen? Now what are we going to do? We can't call the agent. There's no internet. There's no way we could try and find our way again. The GPS wasn't connecting. We tried to figure out, this is the path we take. Do we go back or do we go forward? Do we keep going, not knowing where we're going, and then trying to see where we're going to end up? Or do we stop? Do we take a look at our surroundings? Do we see where we've come from? Do we look back to see whether we've come from the right road? Do we reverse back? And in this moment, it made me realize that so many people go through life living in exactly this way. Living in a way that they just push through, figuring things out as they go along, and yes, making mistakes, and yes, making goals and hoping, crossing everything that it's going to work out for them and they're going to manage. But many times they'll end up going through these crossroads, or maybe going through these dead-end roads, or maybe going through roads that really don't take them anywhere, without really thinking back and figuring out, actually, where am I? Yeah? So in this video today, in this episode, I really want to take a step back, and in doing this in February, I really hope that you sort of resonate with me, because at the end of the day, we all start a new year thinking we're going to change our life. This is going to be the year for us. This is going to be the way that we're going to move forward. But we miss out on something so important. And I'm doing this episode in February because it's still really early on in the year, and it's still a time for you to be able to reflect on where you're stuck in your journey. Now, I just want to quickly go back to the car situation. So the car situation was that we actually had to reverse back, get out of the car, try and find a signal, and finally, it wasn't the signal that saved us, but it was actually a lovely old man walking up the mountain roads, coming up for a hike, who knows obviously the area well, and who was able to guide us as to where we could go along our journey, and then finally meet our estate agent who was waiting for us. And it was really interesting combo we had in the car, thinking maybe this isn't the path for us, maybe this isn't the place for us, but at the end, when we actually got to see the property, we did fall in love with it. So yeah, you gotta follow my journey to figure out whether we actually ended up buying the house or not. But in going back to the goals and figuring out whether we've actually stalled on our goals, or we failed our goals, or we've said that we're going to be doing this for our business and we're going to be spending more time with our families, whatever that might have been. If you really had to turn back the clock to a month ago, or maybe 2 months ago, where you were looking at the end of 2023, you're looking to see how you expect 2024 to be, and maybe you have failed in keeping your promises to yourself in the first few weeks. Well, this is where I'm at. This is why I'm doing this episode. This is why I'm doing this video today. I want you to ask yourself a series of questions to be able to help you identify whether this is the right path for you, whether this path or this journey that you've chosen in 2024, in this year, and the steps that you're taking are actually the ones that you want to be following, and whether or not so far you have managed to stay on track to achieve the goals, or maybe you've already achieved some goals, or maybe you feel that you've completely lost track already and you are at your wit's end because you have no idea how to proceed. So just like that old guy who managed to meet us in our journey yesterday as we were walking, as we were driving up, I'd love you to use me as your little helper to identify how to proceed with this next year, and perhaps with the rest of your life when it comes to your personal life and your Pilates business journey. So let's jump straight in to the questions that I'd love you to be able to answer to yourself. And I'd also encourage you to do this exercise even with your family. Because if you do this as a family union, you all understand each other's requirements. You know, we are all individuals. We are individuals. So I am Anita. I am myself. I have my own needs. As a human being, I have my own needs and I have my own values. But I also appreciate the values of my partner and of my son and of the rest of my family. I also appreciate the values of my team members, my staff, the people who keep my community going. So I want to make sure that in the decisions that I make for the next year, I'm including all of these in my thoughts and in my plans and in my goals. So hopefully you'll be able to do the same exercise for yourselves, for your personal life, for your wellness, for your spiritual life, and for your businesses. So these are the 4 pillars that I would really like you to focus on when you are trying to set yourself these goals, or maybe realign your goals that you've got for this year. Think about these 4 pillars, because they're really going to be able to help you identify every single goal that you need to be making for having a better future. Now, let's jump straight into the 6 questions that you need to be asking yourself for having this better future and for achieving the most amazing goals in 2024. So this video is going to be split into 2 parts. In today's video, we're going to be looking at what we've done so far to get us to this stage. That's going to be the first bit of the video. What happened in our past, good or bad, to get us to this stage. Next video is going to talk all about what we need to be doing to get the amazing goals, to achieve the amazing goals that we're looking at for this year. What do we need to be doing for next year? Yeah? So follow the video through and enjoy, guys. So here's our first question. Looking back to last year, what were the highlights of your year. So write this down. Write it down on a piece of paper. Make sure you do this together with a family, or maybe brainstorm with a business partner, or maybe a friend or someone who really value. And I want you to figure out what were the highlights of last year for you. So what I use to help me is I look through my phone and I look through photos, because you know what? A year ago in my mind seems maybe like ages ago. I know it's not that far ago, but you know, there's stuff that I'm sure that I've forgotten. And I'm sure that if I had to just think about it, there's going to be highlights that I would have forgotten. And that's why I'm suggesting to you that you do use an accountability partner to help you make these decisions or even answer these questions. So I remember for me, what was a real big highlight of last year was holding the first Pilates teacher training course in a retreat format. So I had a bunch of people, I had a bunch of teachers or students, shall I say, from around the world who came and stayed with us in a retreat finca in Spain and spent the time with us, even sleeping in the same accommodation and sharing the downtime with us, as well as learning, being at the studio, practicing for weeks on end. While they were having a learning journey, they were spending time with me, with my partner, with our family, and with fellow students. So for me, it was nerve-wracking at first because I didn't know how it was going to turn out. So I've been doing teacher training for years, but never in a retreat format before. Actually having them with us was a huge eye-opener, because then we discussed more about their own personal journey. I got to learn a little bit more about my students, and I got to learn a little bit more how I can use my own emotional intelligence and translate my own courses to reflect their journey. And it was an amazing experience for me. It was a huge highlight, and I'm so excited to be going through that journey again this year. In fact, in only a few weeks, I've got a new cohort of teachers starting a new journey to become Pilates teachers. So this has been a very powerful journey with me, and I've got lots and lots of photos. I've gone through my phone and I've got lots of photos to prove that. But there have been many other journeys that have perhaps slipped my mind, and because I went through my phone list and I found the photos to prove that, that has been actually a brilliant reminder to say to me, you know what, Anita, your past year hasn't been as bad as you thought maybe it was. So initially, I thought that it hasn't been a brilliant year, and I'll let you know in the second question why I felt that it wasn't a great year last year. But when I look back and I look at all the experiences that I've had, and I really look at the highlights of the year, then I realize that no, it hasn't been as bad as I thought. So it's given me a more robust position to be able to make the decisions or ask the questions to set my goals for the following year. So I encourage you to do the same thing. You can pause the video, or you can just watch the video in its entirety and then later on do these exercises with your accountability partners to help you in your journey. The second question I'd really encourage you to ask yourself to create these amazing goals for 2024 would be, what have been the harder aspects of the past year for you? What have been the harder events? Which events do you consider as having had a negative effect on your life? So from personal experience, I would say that it was a tough year, because in the same year, we lost our beloved dog, Monty, who had been with us for 11 years. So he was our baby. And of course, we've lost my mother-in-law. And it was a very hard year and a hard time, because whenever we're losing a family member, regardless of whether we're actually expecting that passing to happen, there's always a huge dent that happens in our life. And it actually took months and months on end for us to even come to terms with that loss and come to terms with, now my partner doesn't have any more parents left and I've got my mom. And it's like, I'm now just holding on to my mom and hoping that, you know, it's just going to be, so we're going to have the status quo. And we know it's not going to be like this forever. But in experiencing that loss, it kind of made us realize a little bit more about, we have each other and we have the family, and how important it is to have these family unions. And I'm sure this is happening to all of us, when you lose somebody you love, and it kind of puts a little bit of downer on the rest of your year then, because it's going to be always the year that my mom passed or my dad passed. And yeah, it was a tough year with that respect. But if I had to go through the phone, and if I had to go through all the experiences that I've had, yes, there were some other negative things that would have happened to us, and to happen to me personally, to happen to us as a unit, as a family unit, and then to happen to our business. And one big thing that happened to the business, and this is something that I really want to talk about, is being backstabbed. So having had relationships, business relationships that went sour. And this happens in any industry, and it kind of comes as part of the job. It's kind of part of the deal. You want to be in business, just get ready to be backstabbed. Somebody somewhere is going to come in and cheat on you and cheat on your business. So this is an experience that I've had, and I've not just had it last year, I've had it also in the past, but it has been an experience that has taught me to create better strategies, to be able to protect my business, to protect myself in better ways, and to then make better decisions for my business. So that has been an experience for me that I don't want to go through again, but I know that in some shape or form, I'm going to be going through something similar, because this is the nature of the beast that we run, okay? So I would love you to have some time just to go through maybe some things that didn't go the way that you were expecting them to go last year, and to see what you've learned from them. Which brings me to the third question, and that is, what did you learn from the experiences that you've had in the past 12 months? So write that down. What has it been? What was the lesson that you have learned from all the experiences that you've had in the past 12 months? And just to summarize, for me, is to definitely value my family more, spend more time with my family. And I'm sure that this would have probably been a goal for all of you for 2024. And definitely in identifying the best strategies or better strategies to protect myself and to protect my business when it comes to making deals, to doing contracts, and to have a lot more transparency in any contractual agreements that I do in the future. So hopefully that's also giving you a tip on how to run your businesses. So just take a few minutes to really reflect on what has been a lesson for you through the experiences that you've had in this past year. And by answering these 3 questions, you're going to identify where you're at now. And in identifying that, you're going to be able to make decisions about the future. Identifying where you're at now is a commonly missed part of the process in setting your goals for the next year. Many people just set their goals without really identifying where they're at. And the other thing is, you're not going to be able to remember everything. So that's why it's important to find ways that you can remember what's happened to you in the past, to be able to identify where you're now. And the photos from your phone are going to be a really good way for you to identify with that. What I had a partner actually what he used to do was write down a personal diary every single day. Whatever happened every single day, he wrote it down. That really gave him great ways to strategize, to identify what worked and what didn't work, and how he was, what state he was in one particular time, and where he wanted to be in the future. So that might also be a strategy for you, writing things down. So there you have it, your first 3 questions to identify where you're at now. So do this exercise, do the exercise to identify what has happened in the past, what's worked, what's not worked for you, and where you're at, what lessons have you learned, to identify where you're at today. And in doing so, we're going to get ready for the next part of our video to identify what questions we're going to be asking to get those realistic goals set for the following year. If you did like the video, hit the like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell so you get notified every time I upload a video online. If If you want to watch next week's video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Until next week's video, goodbye for now.